We have Commanders breaking news coming out of Ashburn, Virginia. For an update, we go to the Ref the District studios. Here's the Stoner. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to this breaking news alert for the Commanders here on Ref the District. I am the Stoner. Thank you all for checking in with us on this big news, this Friday news dump, if you will, from the Commanders. We'll get right into it and talk about exactly what happened. Appreciate everybody checking in. Make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on audio, make sure you leave a rating and review. So, the big news officially, per the Washington Commanders, both Logan Thomas and Charles Leno were released today. And then also, according to multiple sources, center Nick Gates was also released. So that's three big names, bigger contracts, and bigger outs. And we'll get to each of the contracts here in just a second that are now gone from the Washington Commanders, as Adam Peters has come in here and he's basically said, all right, look, I'm taking a look at this. If you remember in his press conference, his initial press conference when he was announced with Josh Harris, and somebody asked him, what are the strengths of this team, or who are the strengths of this team? And he had that long pause. And then finally he said, the wide receiver group and the defensive tackles. And basically that was it. Well, so it comes as no surprise that these cuts have been happening. I wasn't surprised. Nobody was really surprised that this was happening. I mean, we were betting on this happening basically ever since the end of the season. And if they would have had those lines out there, we definitely would have gone on to Bet Online and taken those bets, because Bet Online, it continues to be your number one source for all your wagering needs, especially in basketball, pro and college hoops throughout this year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting contests and all the best player props. Head to Bet Online today to become part of the team, and remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. And please remember to bet responsibly. So let's talk about these three guys that we've got getting released for the Commanders today. These are big names. These are big contracts. Let's start basically with Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas, look, he came in here as a tight end and kind of a project, because he did spend a few years trying to continue to be a quarterback, which he was for 4 years at Virginia Tech. Detroit turned him around into be a tight end, and we kind of signed him out of this kind of hopes that he would become a good tight end. That's exactly what he was. He was a good tight end. He had some injuries that he was battling, but he came in here and did his job. He was a good teammate. He was an excellent veteran, but, he's getting up there. He's going to be 32 years old here pretty soon. And so it was kind of that time, especially with the amount of money that they could save by releasing him. They basically saved $6.5 million this season because he just had the 1 year left. So they're now just going to only have a $1.75 million cap hit by releasing Logan Thomas. So that was pretty much a no-brainer. We all pretty much saw that coming. Charles Leno, we kind of all saw that coming as well. Now, this one seems to be a little bit more injury related. He is about to have surgery on his hip. He had a calf issue at the end of the season, but Charles Leno was exactly what they needed when they signed him just 3 seasons ago. And he was a guy, we always say the best ability is availability. Charles Leno was available week in and week out. He was there. So they're going to save a bunch of money off of his cap as well. For his cap, he's still going to get paid quite a bit of money. He's got quite a bit of cash. He doesn't have to worry about money ever again. But they're saving about $7.3 million by releasing him. And they're still going to have an $8 million cap hit, but that's better than the $15+ million cap hit that they would have had if they had held on to him throughout this year. Injuries are catching up with him now. He also is a little bit older. He wasn't a great left tackle, but he was a very good left tackle. And like I said, he was there every single week until the end of this year when he did come down with that calf injury. So best of luck to Charles Leno. think about Charles Leno here is that he was a captain of this football team. He was a Walter Payton Man of the Year selection from Washington. He's the kind of guy that every team needs. So good luck to Charles Leno and Logan Thomas, two solid veterans, good locker room guys, just getting up there in age, big cap hits. You could see this coming a mile away. The third one, of course, is Nick Gates. Now, that was not a money move. Adam Peters clearly came in and saw what he did on the field last year. We all saw it on the field almost from the beginning. What he provided was a nastiness, was a toughness, was a I got your back no matter what kind of attitude. And that helps. You need those kind of guys, but you also need those guys to be talented. Nick Gates, unfortunately, was just not talented enough. He came in here when he was signed with a lot of injury history, and it took quite a while before the coaches for Washington decided that it was enough with Nick Gates. He was just missing too many blocks, was just not playing very well, and they finally benched him at some point during the year for the other center who came out, I can't even remember his name, who he's going to be gone as well, the backup to the backup to the backup. But Nick Gates just wasn't great. Unfortunately, Gates, it was tough to kind of watch it because he was the kind of guy that you really wanted to root for, because he was that kind of guy who would have your back, have his teammates back. And we saw that a couple of times in the end zone where he would crush people if they got too close to his quarterback, all of that stuff. But unfortunately, he just wasn't good enough. Now, they're not really going to save any money with Gates' contract here in 2024. It's going to be about the same amount. And he's got money next year as well, 2025. They are going to save probably about $4 or $5 million on next year's cap by releasing him. He will still have a dead cap next year. So if you're going to have a dead cap this year and a dead cap next year, that means they really could not hold on to this guy. That's how bad he was if you're going to release him with that much money owed to him. So now Washington has at least $91 million in cap space, and we've talked all about what they can do with that kind of cap space. If you've seen our player focus series that we put out here throughout the course of the offseason, where we're looking at offensive linemen, we're looking at linebackers, we're looking at edge rushers, and we're looking at wide receivers. They're going to go out there and they're going to spend some money. They're not going to go crazy. They're not going to go out and get a top-tier free agent and give them $150 million, and that's not going to happen. But they are going to spend a lot of money. They have to. They've only got 51 guys under contract. By the time the season comes around, you got to have 90. So, look, they got to sign almost 40 guys to contracts between now and then, including your draft picks, free agents, all of that. So a lot is still to come for this team, but there is a lot of cap room as well, which is pretty darn exciting. So what does that mean again going forward? Obviously, when Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, and them looked at this team, they looked at the weaknesses, they looked at the cap numbers, and they said, look, that offensive line wasn't good, right? So you've lost your starting left tackle, you've lost your starting center, you've lost your starting tight end. That's 3 guys on the offensive line. Probably, just my prediction, they're also going to get rid of Andrew Wiley. And he has the same type of contract as Nick Gates. It was a 3-year deal, so they're going to have to take cap hits this year and next year. But his contract is written in to where it's going to save more money if they wait until June 1st or designate him as a post-June 1 cut. So that news will probably come at some point. But, man, does that make this offseason even bigger. That makes the offseason with the draft even bigger, the offseason with the free agents that they're going to sign even bigger. But this is what we all wanted, right? The biggest thing is we wanted to see these guys held accountable if they were not playing well. We wanted to see a roster purge. It's not a rebuild, as Dan Quinn said. He said a recalibration. Fine, call it what you want. It's a re-something. There's going to be a lot of new guys on this team next year. And we got to think about our own free agents, guys like Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, Cam Curl, Kendall Fuller. Those are some big names. Khaleke Hudson, guys like that. So big news here in Ashburn for the Washington Commanders on this Friday afternoon news dump. The release, of course, of Logan Thomas, Charles Leno, and Nick Gates. The recalibration in Washington has begun. We appreciate everybody checking in with us here on Ref the District to see what's happening. We'll be here all off season long with your breaking news. We'll give it to you as soon as it happens. Appreciate everybody checking us out. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, and on audio, make sure you leave a rating and review. And of course, until next time, we have been brought to you by Bet Online. Don't forget that. And until next time, be a fan.